I quickly found out when I got into the business how the actual team structure works in a traditional brokerage. And like I said, I never felt good about that. I never felt good about telling Bart, we're going to go 50-50 on this deal. Oh, it's your mom and dad's house? You've known them 40 years? And you just been on my team a week. I know I've taught you so much, Bart. Appreciate that 50% from that relationship you've had. I'm sure there are team leaders and I'm sure there are brokers out there that earn that 50%.
Yeah, they put a lot of outstanding...
I've just never met one of them.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Granted, I've only been in the business 7.5 to 8 years.
I don't think there's any big mysteries,
but
generally.
I host classes every Tuesday, a lunch and learn, and they're packed. Mm-hmm. And they're not eXp agents, they're not Keller Williams agents, they're not JPAR agents, they're not Ebby agents, they're not Fathom, they're not Exit, they're all of them.
Yeah,
because they're hungry.
That's right.
Because they've got a broker or they got a team leader out there that's not giving them what they need. All right.
Yeah.
Bart, I wanted to ask you, you are a real estate broker, you're a mortgage broker, have been for how many years?
2+ decades.
2+ decades.
Too long.
So for those of you that don't know what decades are, that would be just over 20 years at least.
Yeah.
In the real estate mortgage industry, you are your own broker, running your own group.
Yes, sir.
What made you decide to move that group to eXp?
Like anything else, probably a little slow to pull the trigger. I was exposed to it, said no for 2 years. When I look back, the reason was probably I was busy working in the business.
Yeah.
I didn't want to think about change. And then pride was probably the biggest one that I had to overcome.
Okay.
Because once I dug into it, and I really did think about what it would look like at a different company, not making all the decisions or putting some things in other people's hands.
Yeah.
That was kind of counterintuitive to me with being kind of control freak that I might be. But ultimately, it was really looking at the numbers and realizing that I needed help in areas of my business. And I think the 2 years was more about preparing my mind to be in the right mindset to actually do what I knew that was going to be required to make it have a benefit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I could have stayed where I was, right? So it was all up here, and that took 2 years for me to get my head around. But after that, it was really the reasons. Your original question was, getting rid of the liability, because I did sponsor agents, had, usually under 10 agents.
What's that liability cost look like?
So obviously you're securing E&O for different levels of production. If you're doing any kind of rental management, that'll add quite a bit to your premiums. And then, coming up with an equitable cost strategy on billing these people that are the agents that are doing different kinds of business. But the liability, you're talking pretty large. Any complaint falls on my shoulders, and different agents are willing to say anything sometimes to get a sale.
Yes.
So, so that was getting rid of the liability and then plugging into different knowledge bases of different agents nationally.
Yeah.
Really getting in a different room, right? Proximity to different people that I was not around.
Yeah.
I was a big fish in a little pond is basically what I had to accept. Okay. So, and I did.
All right. What's your experience been so far? You've been in with eXp for
September of 18.
Since September of 18. So
we're creeping up on 5-year mark.
So over 4 years. And what's the experience been like for you?
It has delivered on every represented promise. I am a person that doesn't feel like the brokerage makes the biggest difference necessarily. Mm-hmm. And I still believe that at some level. I think if you haven't figured out as an agent that it's about you, not the brokerage, then you're missing the point. But that's what eXp gets. Yeah. Is they're there to support the agent to build their own business. Mm-hmm. So the agents that have a great time here are people that get that, and the people that generally want to be more provided value in the form of taking care of things that the agent, I think, should be handling or taking control over, they don't have a good experience at eXp because they want the brokerage to kind of do a lot of the marketing for them.
Yeah. So chances are, if they're not having a good experience at eXp, they're not having a good experience at broker A, B, or C.
Yeah, usually it's the agent in the mirror that's the problem. And it was in my case too. That's why I wanted to share that part, is I was the problem. If I'd have come immediately to eXp, I would have had a poor experience, guaranteed.
Yeah.
For the same reasons, because I was not. I got being my own business. Obviously, I had my own for 14 years, but I needed to be able to leverage the benefit that I had access to, the opportunities, and I wouldn't have taken advantage of them because I wouldn't have asked for help. So,
what's the greatest challenge bringing your brokerage to eXp? What did you find the biggest challenge to be?
You want to make sure that the agents that are coming with you understand the value, right? And because every business has different players, right? I mean, different agents focus in different areas, like I said. And so making sure that each agent got the information they needed of how they would benefit specifically. Okay. So
what's that conversation sound like?
So
let's say I'm on the Bart Gurley group, and you come and tell me we're moving to eXp, and what's that mean for me?
Well, so Agent Michael, you're an amazing part of our team. Obviously, we value your participation and your contribution to our overall culture and production. We're making a move because we'll have so much more access to help you grow your business well beyond where it is today. And it's true for me as it is for you. And so we can walk through kind of compensation. I actually make more as a part of eXp than I did as an independent broker, and then all the access to training, collaboration, healthcare, the software that we'd have access to that I couldn't afford to provide you, we'll all get access to. So,
am I going to make more money with eXp?
100%, 100%.
Excellent.
Team structures work exactly the same there. So if you have a big, like a team, mega team, those work exactly the same generally. But you have other revenue streams that you don't have access to being a publicly traded company, as far as stock, for doing the same thing we do at every other company, and no other company has access to leverage that into a retirement plan.
Okay.
So that's a big piece of creating wealth overall. And then healthcare has turned into a really big thing. Even since I've been here, it's gotten dramatically better. And I know that we've looked at it, and it's definitely a little cheaper to go with some of the options we get and better insurance coverage for the same money. Okay. So it's good stuff.
All right. Creeping up on my second year with the eXp actually here in March. So pretty close to 2 years.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about, you had been in the industry for 5 or so years, is that right?
So yeah, I was with Keller Williams, Frisco office. That's where I started my real estate career. Was there for 5 years. Okay. Was a capper for all 5 years. Was introduced to eXp probably like most people several years before I eventually made the jump.
What were kind of those things that held you from making that decision? Or
at the end of the day, I'm somebody that brags about loving change, but at the end of the day, change sucks. Just not change in general. I just don't like the task of changing my sign and changing my letterheads.
So big important decisions.
Things that really didn't matter kept me from making the move much earlier, yes.
All right. And so at a great company, we both have past history there. Love my experience there. What were maybe the couple of decision-making things that made you make that decision?
So I'd say, first of all, you don't know what you don't know. I was in education for over 20 years. Teacher, high school basketball coach, very little business acumen.
But let's hold on for a second. What kind of success did you have as a coach, though? Because that's a big part of who you are.
Well, I'd say my success were the people that came out of my programs, actually.
Nice.
I have many players over the last 20 years that are just doing great things in their life. So that's probably the greatest thing and greatest success that came out of my coaching. But, just wins and losses. Was able to have a lot of success, definitely in my last, 3 to 4 years. But all the programs before, we're building opportunities, and I like to take things from point A to point B and the process of that. So anyway,
let's align that to your real estate business and how you apply that.
Basketball and real estate. Over Christmas break, I bought a book during a basketball season, and it was Gary Keller's The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Mm-hmm. And as I started reading that book, it all just aligned with how I was running my basketball program. Something clicked that, wow, like a business operates the same way that this basketball program operates. Mm-hmm. Lead people the same way, but, you can even do greater things
I love it.
with it. So, that was what drew me to the real estate. I basically took 4 out of the 6 real estate classes over spring break. The week of spring break, I took the next 2 classes, as far as this was when you could go on Champions Online, mm-hmm. do their coursework, take their test. And so I did 4 in a week, 2 the next weekend. And by April, I was a licensed real estate agent before school was out.
Okay, that's fast. And motivated, obviously.
I was very motivated to get that license. So anyway, originally, I went to a discount broker for about a week.
Okay.
Before school was even out. Went over after school one day to a discount broker. He was kind enough to hang my license there after I'd gotten it. It was a personal relationship, somebody I knew. Because like I said, when I started this long conversation was I didn't know what I didn't know. Gotcha. I didn't know how a brokerage really worked. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what a real estate mentor looked like. So anyway.
Only a week though, what happened?
So I hang my license there, directly out of Trek. Goes to this brokerage, $500 a transaction. I go over to the office to meet with another agent that works in that office, and I really quickly realized that I don't know shit about real estate, and I'm not going to learn it here.
Gotcha.
For $500 a transaction, which makes total sense. Yeah. Like, why is this guy going to... I might not ever do a transaction. We all know how many, like 88% of agents are out in 2 years yep. because they're not doing enough transactions.
Gotcha.
So I just, I'm not very smart, but I'm smart enough to know that when I'm not in the right situation.
Gotcha.
So the next day at school, I'm on the internet and I am researching brokerages that train, and we all know what pops up when you put in real estate training. Yes. Keller Williams is considered the number 1 training brokerage in, I guess, the world, probably.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I sent a couple emails out to brokerages. I got a response back from Keller Williams very quickly, set up an appointment, I believe that afternoon or maybe the next afternoon.
Okay.
Went in after school. Next thing I know, I am signed up with Keller Williams. School graduation's on June 4th, a Friday, and June 7th, Monday morning, I'm sitting in Keller Williams office Frisco in Ignite.
Wow.
Getting my education.
There we go.
And my training.
So you feel like a good value? I mean, you went there, they delivered what you needed.
I mean, I will never speak bad on KW. They are a great training, great resources.
Yeah.
But when I went to Keller Williams, I went there under the assumption of the profit share model. And my whole goal when I started real estate, when I read that book, I wasn't just thinking about Michael Oldham. I was thinking about Michael Oldham and a group of others.
Okay, so you had a big dream. Like you went there and had a big vision.
People that know me, Bart, know that when I look at doing something, like you see the guitar over there.
Oh yes.
I don't think about just picking the guitar up and playing it. I think about picking the guitar up and playing it somewhere on a stage.
Gotcha.
When I do this podcast, I don't think about this podcast in this room, I think about this podcast on a stage in front of thousands of people.
Yeah, gotcha. Love
And so when I got into real estate, I didn't think about Michael Oldham selling 12 homes a year. I thought about Michael Oldham leading a group of others.
it. Got it. So is that a part of what was appealing about, well, hold on real quick. Let me say that. So you got the beginning of your career in real estate pretty quickly, but you weren't afraid to make decisions to make change. Went to your second location or second brokerage. How long?
Well, it was literally a week
Okay.
between my original brokerage to go into KW.
And then how long at KW?
And then I was at KW for 5 years.
Yeah.
I was Rookie of the Year in the Frisco office my first year. And then, I was a top 5 individual agent every year,
Nice.
capped all 5 years. And, I think Keller Williams is a great company. I just think that at some point, their training is all geared toward getting Michael Oldham coming out of education up and doing transactions.
Yep. Which is exactly what it did. It was a fair exchange.
And that's what it did.
Yeah.
But eventually you get to a point, I think, in your career where you need more.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel that's where I was getting it from. So
Don't you feel like this is something that it gets lost in all the negative conversation about, like you said, not talking negative about KW, and I wouldn't either. I had 6-7 years there, and I loved every minute of it, and still talked to the people I was there with, and like it was about community, and those people are still part of my community, no matter where they are actually.
yeah,
One of them is a team leader at KW still, and we talk 4 or 5 times a year. Close friend, and so I don't think it has to do with negativity about the brokerage. I think it's that we're not willing to acknowledge that we need to progress, and that means change in any part of life.
yeah. Well, I mean, Keller Williams talks about growth, and they're all about the growth.
Yep.
But at a point, they can't feed that growth anymore, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the industry's changed a little bit since they came out. Like I take great pride in letting people know that I watched that company grow. I mean, I was one of the first 100 agents in Dallas, and they had about 9 or so hundred in Austin, to my recollection. So about 1,000 total, and now, I mean, they probably have 150,000 plus worldwide. But I had a great experience. It did exactly the same thing for me too. It taught me how to do transactional real estate. I got to do the freedom to do all kinds of different real estate and land and commercial and but you're right. I mean, at some point you've got to take control of your own destiny. That vision you had and what I had the free outline of it. I don't think mine was as clear as yours, but I knew inherently I wanted to go to the next step because I was bored.
Yeah.
Mine was out of boredom. Like I was happy. I could do transactions. I could support my family, but that vision was kind of picking at me too.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, probably fear was a big part of it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Like if I do this and it doesn't work, and I do put all the effort in, the mindset trying, the fear of failure was probably there. Trying something way beyond anything I've ever tried.
Yeah. I mean, I've led groups of people to the top of what we were trying to get to.
Yeah.
I mean, I've led a group of kids to the state final.
Yeah.
Which was the goal from day one.
That's awesome.
So I know I can lead people, but like you, I'm not afraid to say it. I still have fear of leading a group of adults to that goal of real estate transactions. And, I think it's a mindset switch where we can't look at it as adults and kids. We just have to look at it as humans, people to pour into, like, regardless of age. Or,
it doesn't change, does it?
No, it doesn't change. So, when I got to Keller Williams, I did learn what I didn't know. And that you can't build a team out the way I wanted to.
Right.
Now, you can build a team out under any brokerage that you want to if you're willing to take 50% of somebody's hard work and feel good about it and go to sleep at night. I never felt good about that
Right.
that transaction, I guess.
Can we dig into that for a second?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Like, why do you see it? And I think I know why, but I want to hear your thoughts. Why do you feel negative, like you're not doing a good service for that agent? Or why is there a negative feeling about what you just described for the agent?
Well, for me, everything's relational. For me, real estate transactions are relational. For me,
Yep.
it's not just about making sure client A gets house A, and like that's boring shit to me.
Yeah, right.
Like that's just I'm like you. You said you got bored, is why, and I get bored very quickly.
Yeah.
And pushing papers around, which is what real estate is, it's boring to me. I love to lead. I love to lead people.
Which is why you have a great partner in Amy.
And so yes, Amy does a lot of all of that stuff I hate to do, so I can lead people.
Absolutely.
But back to the whole thing was, when I got into Keller Williams, I told the team leader, I told him straight up the day I got there to interview my vision. I want to take 10 coaches and their wives or their spouses, and I hadn't even done anything yet. I hadn't sold one house. I hadn't even been in one Ignite class yet. But I told him, I want to take 10 coaches and their spouses and show them how to do what I am getting ready to do, which is change my life. Like I'm getting ready to go from X amount of dollars to twice that with the same amount of work and doing the same thing, which is building relationships. All of my coaching success was relationships. I wasn't the greatest X's and O's coach, but I could make people believe they could do things they didn't think they could do. And so anyway, I quickly found out when I got into the business how the actual team structure works in a traditional brokerage. And like I said, I never felt good about that. I never felt good about telling Bart, we're going to go 50-50 on this deal. Oh, it's your mom and dad's house? You've known them 40 years? And you just been on my team a week. I know I've taught you so much, Bart. Appreciate that 50% from that relationship you've had. And that just doesn't feel right to me. It still wouldn't feel right to me. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It feels quite honestly pimpish to me.
Well, and now I understand what you're saying, and I think there's a kind of an assumption that the value you're getting for that 50% may not be apples to apples.
I'm sure there are team leaders and I'm sure there are brokers out there that earn that 50%.
Yeah, they put a lot of outstanding...
I've just never met one of them.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Granted, I've only been in the business 7.5 to 8 years.
I don't think there's any big mysteries
generally.
But
I mean, I host classes every Tuesday, a lunch and learn, and they're packed. Mm-hmm. And they're not eXp agents, they're not Keller Williams agents, they're not JPAR agents, they're not Ebby agents, they're not Fathom, they're not Exit, they're all of them.
Yeah,
because they're hungry.
That's right.
Because they've got a broker or they got a team leader out there that's not giving them what they need.
But they're too afraid to make, that's the whole, I guess the point we're making is, and this is some element, the way I view it is I don't disagree. I think there are some exceptions to the rule where they're putting, team leaders are putting a lot of money out to get leads and they're fronting that. But you have to agree to that contract, even on friends, family, whatever. There may be some exceptions, but generally agreed. And I think that also lends itself to realizing I want to be around people that have a vision like you, like me, that's beyond just doubling their income when they start. The end goal, the big one, that's what eXp draws, is people that have that. And maybe they don't know how to get there, but they know that that's there.
Yeah.
And the other agents that want to be in that 50-50 split, and maybe it's a great deal for them. Maybe it fits their lifestyle or the time investment that they want out of real estate, and that's fine. It's just not who I want to surround myself with.
Exactly.
We just won't get along.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
different goals.
The traditional brokerage, the discount brokerage, the individual broker that just wants their broker license and doesn't want a team, there's a place for all of it.
All of it, yes. And I was that person for a long time. I thought that was seen as the pinnacle for a long time, as being like, I've made it.
Yeah.
I'm my own broker. I control all the stuff and
Yeah.
all the decisions, and I get all the money. But a lot of nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
Still is a lot of nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I love it when I'm talking about my real estate career to people on that. Oh, so you're a broker? Hell no. Like, one thing I have not ever thought of one single time of getting in this industry was getting my broker's license.
See,
It's
okay.
never crossed my mind.
I don't think you've ever told me that. Interesting.
Never crossed my mind to get
Well-
my broker's license, because I've heard from every Tom, Dick, and Harry that got it that
Brokers, it just makes you more broker. You end up spending all this money to figure it out on your own. Is the honest truth. You fail
Yeah.
a lot, which is fine. Like there's merit to failing. Obviously, we know that. But eventually, you've got to learn. Right?
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's where this evolves. I'm the perfect example because I evolved. I didn't have certain. I didn't know what I didn't know either. It doesn't change, like
Yeah.
you said, at age or experience.
Yeah.
You're not going to be doing it wrong for 20 years. But that wasn't the case. Great track record on production, but I did have a limit, and I had to accept the fact that I needed help.
Yeah.
And I now can get on the phone with people that sell 500, 700, 1,000 homes a year and see how, and they have talent, and the way they view the world is different than what it is for me. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I want to replicate that, but I love being exposed to it and seeing what I can take from that.
Yeah.
Right, and apply it to the way I view the world or what I want to build.
Yeah.
And that's cool about what we can do here is eXp's made the broker license next to like not necessary.
Yeah.
Like you can build your own brokerage within eXp and push your vision of the way you see the world, and you're going to attract agents that see it like you do,
Yeah.
which is
And,
great.
and that's what excited me I got the eXp thing from the get-go. Like, I got it in 2018 or when it was introduced to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so here's the $1 million question. Like you just said it. Like what was I shared as more mindset or
Yeah.
I didn't understand. I didn't know if I was willing to do the work it took to be successful here.
Yeah.
Right. What I said I wanted to make sure I was really honest with myself, and I wasn't. I needed to.
Yeah.
But what was your reasoning? If you understood it, what was
So, it's, like I said, everything's relational to me.
yeah. So it was a relationship maybe that.
So, although the people that introduced it to me are great people, do a lot of business, it just wasn't a match for me. Like I couldn't see myself working with them every single day on this vision that I had.
Gotcha.
And maybe their vision wasn't, maybe our visions didn't completely align. And if I told you these names, like these are top dog alphas
Yeah.
in eXp.
Yeah.
But I chose to join for relationship. I decided to join with people that I knew 2 to 3 times a week I could literally be around.
You can stand.
And I would be able to vibe with their vibes
Yeah.
and because you can get along with everybody, but that doesn't mean you dig everybody.
Yeah. You don't want to be around them all the time.
So, it was that for me. And, when I didn't join, I was working on another project as well.
Yeah.
So that was, distracting, which
Timing was not right.
the timing of it wasn't right. And then when the time was right, it was very easy. And it was a very easy transfer. And people that ask, what's the difference between eXp and other brokers? I would say literally nothing as far as putting signs in yards and getting things on the MLS and selling things. My production has gone up because I'm around people
Yeah.
on a different basis. And that's with eXp, we're all our own businesses, but we're all trying to help each other build each other's business, which you're not going to find at a broker, at another broker.
I tend to agree. I think it's very rare what they've built.
I got a lot of great help at Keller Williams, Kevin Cannon, Dusty Oglesby, J.D. Tomlin, that's actually eXp now, Andy Daniel, that's eXp now. Like, these are dudes that I know a lot of agents wouldn't do it, but I just pick the phone up and I call these guys when I needed help, and I got that help. I know lots of other agents that because they wouldn't pick that phone up and make that call, they ended up drifting off to other brokers.
Yep.
Which will take me to my next point is I don't think anybody ever leaves a brokerage because of the broker. And I know nobody's ever going to leave eXp because of the brokerage.
Yeah.
I think people leave brokerages because of people.
Agreed. Well, at brokerages, like, top producers are going to, if they rent an office at the location, the door's probably going to be closed most of the time because they're transacting business. If the agent, and the agent's probably not even there most of the time. Mm-hmm. They're out at appointments, right? They have transaction coordinators or team. So going in there to build relationship with them is challenging.
Yes,
it was when I was there too. Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty much the norm in most offices, even though people like to go into the office. Even with COVID, like, that's one of the things they missed.
Yeah.
But that's relational, right? So I think just viewing how you create those relationships in a world we live in today is different. Mm-hmm. Funny enough, I was doing great by myself. Like, production was great. I had my control over my scene. Mm-hmm. I could pick clients. I was really loving what I was doing. But it got to be where I was bored and I needed engagement. Like, I was like finding reasons to leave the office to go talk to people. Like that kind of, not like, but it was funny. I found it funny. I was like, I'm leaving and my real reason is to go talk to somebody. Yeah. So I missed it too. And I'm actually more in conversation and in relationship with people now at a virtual company than I was at a traditional brokerage, which is so weird.
Yeah, I mean, I was the same way. Like, I probably didn't step foot into the office 10 minutes from here in the last 2 years.
You were there, like,
I mean, granted, 1 year that was COVID.
Yeah.
And
office meetings are fun.
No.
Not everybody enjoys them. But I mean, that was one of the methods that you stay in connection.
Yeah, but that was obviously your office meetings was connections. But the top producers aren't at that office meeting.
Not if we're honest. No.
I mean, I could go down a list of top producers at that office and name them by name, and they're the biggest producers in Frisco, but they were never at an office meeting to pick up their top producer certificates.
Right, and as much as the broker and the ownership of that location, just like every other, would love to have some of those top producers there because of the benefit of seeing them and having they can't make them. Like, you can't make them.
But then you flip the page to eXp, and I could probably go on Workplace right now, and in a month, probably schedule somebody in the top 10 production in the country, and I bet they would come to Dallas to do an event for me. It would not surprise me.
I would be willing to bet the same thing.
And I definitely know I could go on Workplace and set up a phone call or a Zoom with anybody in the company, and they would jump on and they would give me every single bit of information they have about being a better at whatever.
And to your point, I did that. I did it, 'cause in all honesty, almost at a cynical level. I did it just to prove that.
Yeah.
Thinking that they would fail. And one or two did. They're human, whatever. Yeah. But by and large, 80% of the agents, they send me Canva templates on how they, like, their whole open house strategy and how they get listings out of every listing, 5 listings out of every listing. Like, that's from a guy that does, I think he did 550 transactions last year. Yeah. He's like the number 2 agent in a major market in California. And he sent me the templates, to just replace my logo and color. Like, it's done. That kind of help. It's crazy.
The sharing is incredible. I mean, there's no way, for me, there's no reason to fail. Because I'm a systems and I'm a models guy. That's why I went to Keller Williams from the get-go. Is because Keller Williams teaches systems and models.
Yep.
And I coached with systems. I've had the same system of offense and defense pretty much for 25 years of coaching basketball. And if I went and somebody dropped me in a gym this afternoon to start coaching, we'd go right back to that system. And in 2 years, we'd be right back where other programs I've had were at.
Yeah.
Like maybe not at the TOP, but people would know we were going that way.
That's right.
And so with any business, and real estate's the same, if you'll take a system, drop it in place, and take actions on it, like you really, I don't think you can fail. And then
That's
you start adding little things to it, and then you increase your business. So
what's the only thing left?
So then the only thing left is to scale what you do.
Yeah.
And so personally, like for me, we sell 16 to 20 houses a year, and we make a good living at it. It keeps us plenty busy with just the two of us, Amy and I. I know lots of other people do a lot more business with probably two people, and we probably could.
But yeah,
But personally, I would like to show, somebody that's making $60,000 a year in a classroom, how they can turn that into $120,000 a year by selling the 16 to 20 houses that Amy and I are. And quite honestly, it'd be a little bit more than that. But
yeah, let's be honest too. You've created the leverage to have time to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
To sell the houses you're doing, which you were doing previously, but you've also created time to engage in a whole different business, which is taking you towards that bigger goal on stage, possibly, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Like you're not just selling houses; you're doing the other stuff that's part of the dream.
Yeah,
and that fits in the same time that you were doing the same production previously.
Exactly.
So
yeah, we all got the same amount of time in the day. It's where you allocate it and how you can allocate it.
Yeah,
and EXPs. You can automate your whole business with eXp. We're virtual, we're technology driven.
We own all the technology.
And we own all the technology.
Yeah.
And then we're developing more technology. So, we looked earlier about how real estate agents could be replaced in a few years by AI and all the things. And obviously, we came to a conclusion that it's still going to be relational and still going to be agents needed. But I know our company will be one of the first ones on the blockchain.
It won't be a surprise to you.
It won't be a surprise to me.
You'll be aware of a knowledgeable business owner.
It won't surprise me when eXp has the first, chat bots connected to all of our stuff. And anyway.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff out there.
So, yeah.
And I've only heard about it because it's on announcements from eXp.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah. I honestly feel like I'm in the best position for a business person.
It's all there.
This could go over people's heads, but I'm going to explain it like this. To me, eXp is like IBM's Linux sitting here.
Okay.
And it's just a platform for anybody and everybody that wants to build a real estate business on.
Yep.
And that's how Linux works. Now it's open AI, I guess, with the Chat GPT.
Yeah.
It's a platform where any developer that wants to go and develop AI technology, plug right into it and get going. So that's how I view eXp, is like a platform, a Linux for all the developers that want to develop a real estate business to plug into.
Yep.
And eXp doesn't even have to be a part of it. They're just providing you that platform,
it's a platform
to build a business. And then if you can help other people build their businesses, then obviously, your business is, for me, it's doing that's what I want my business to do.
Well, like you could have an agent come in from a team situation and wasn't able to get the ball. Like, give me the ball, coach.
Yeah.
I'm on a contract 50-50. You don't get access to my proprietary stuff. I took years and tons of money to develop, which is, I understand the attitude, But when you have somebody come in like you, I mean, you're going to hate it there. You're going to be gone really fast because you're going to be like, I want access to do this too.
Yeah.
Well, here, it allows you to have that person, that top producer from tomorrow or for tomorrow, that understands technology. Like they're starting their careers, they're maybe a few years in, but they're in their late 20s, maybe early 30s. That's who I love to connect with because they get it.
Yeah.
They know that no college is not necessarily a requirement in today's world to be successful, which, I mean, that's the reality. I don't care how you feel about it. It's a reality.
Yeah, it's a reality.
And people that have a vision, like this, there's not even an option on the block that's even close to what eXp can do to help you get that vision.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can get on the Zoom, a call, a meeting, get in the room with the CEO. I mean, literally, it's so much opportunity that it's almost too much for people that are like that.
Yeah.
You can get so distracted, but
yeah, I mean, I think maybe why eXp, I mean, I don't think it's shunned upon.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think the people that don't get it at first maybe is they don't think big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Agreed.
I told you at the start of this, like I'm not thinking about selling 12 houses when I got my real estate license. I was thinking about teaching 10s to 20s of other people how to sell the 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was already thinking scale, and I didn't even understand scale at the time.
I mean, agreed. I came here. I produce more now. Takes less time to do the same thing. I've got systems and processes, standard operating procedures for almost anything. I have more people on my team, not agent count necessarily, but even staff that are able to help me. And I learned that being here from how other people do it.
Yeah.
And I'm growing at the rate that I'm comfortable at from production-wise, but I'm also doing these other things, investing in people instead of just myself, which is one of my major priorities. So you can have that and replicate myself. I can support an agent in, there's 10 different ways. And they only need help on one or two. I can help that and push them along and feel, like you said, good about it because I'm not capping where they're headed and I'm not getting in their pocket to do it because eXp subsidizes my support. Yeah,
that's, and that's where eXp made the difference for me was I don't have to make a 50-50 deal with this teammate of mine that they're on the same playing field as I am.
Yeah.
I got so pissed the other day because I'm talking to a Keller Williams agent and I'm telling him, I started on my 65-35 split, which is really kind of what it is when you're looking at 18 grand and then the 3,000 royalty. And I said, well, even if you want to call it 70-30.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm on a 90-10. And I'm like, well, fuck you.
Why?
Sorry. I didn't say fuck you. I basically said, that's one of the reasons why I left KW was because nobody's on a level playing field.
Yeah.
I thought I had a good deal when they made me an 80-20 split. Well, and this cat's telling me he's 90-10.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the top producers in the office, and I've got to negotiate, and I don't like that. I just don't like it.
Without knowing.
What other people are negotiating. I thought 80-20 was probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, hell, there's probably people in there doing 95-5.
Yeah.
And I was probably doing more production than all of them.
But I think when you pull back the curtain on that, it's like the casino. These brokerages are owned by franchise owners, individual people, right? They're not limitless, money bags, right? Mm-hmm. There's a profit to be made. That split that he's getting, 90-10 or 95, whatever, they're not going to lose money on him. And like we talked about earlier, they can't make him come to the office meetings to get a fringe benefit to build the production and get it from other agents. So they're going to get even with that, right? These advances we hear about with other companies, it doesn't matter what they're going to recover that based on your prior.
Because they're a business and they got to make money.
Period. Like, let's just be honest. So take control of your own business.
Which is why the profit share model in general doesn't work that great. It probably worked great when it started.
Yeah. Maybe.
But
it took several years. So early on, it took years for them to get profitable. right? They're writing things off to have a profit. So they're expensing everything off, which is what the rev share or profit share is based on.
Yes.
Right? Post expenses, and they can manipulate that.
Well, and then you just also have to think about the economics over the last 20 years, the cost of real estate, the cost of construction, all of those expenses they have to open a franchise. It probably has to take longer to pay that and get it to profitable.
That's right.
You know, and a lot of people don't understand that the profit shares the profit of
and
that market center.
And I mean, they're operating within such a fine line of profitability and loss.
And I mean, I'd been in this situation before in a restaurant that I owned, and you know, profit's pretty smoke and mirrors.
Well put.
One of my buddies called it Hollywood math, which I had never knew before. But he's like, that's when they write out all the cocaine and all the costs of alcohol for the red carpet party, and they write all that out, and then there's no profit for the movie.
No.
And so anyway, my Chicken Express partner wasn't writing cocaine out of the Christmas party, but,
Oh my God.
but he might have been writing out some of his other expenses from my profit. But anyway.
Well, that's a fringe benefit of eXp. It's publicly traded. It's open book.
It's all open, transparent. And I just like the fact when you join, you're going to fill out an application with eXp. You're going to join with eXp. You're going to be on an 80-20 split. I'm on an 80-20 split. And like I said, if I mentor you and you do well, eXp is going to pay me back out of that 20%. Doesn't cost you anything.
That's right.
I'm going to teach you how to do it. And then eXp is going to pay me for teaching you how to teach your people. And just the compounding effect's amazing. So,
well, that sponsorship thing, the most attractive thing about that is if you have to have sales. Generally, the numbers would shake out that you have to have production to be attractive. Shocker. That works in the consumer, like getting listings and buyers too. You have to show a track record of success. And so who wouldn't want to be around that top producer, right? That would be a top producer at another brokerage. And now you get access to all their stuff, all the way they do business. You can compress time and get to the same place. And they'd be no more happier. They'd be actually happier if you surpass them.
Yeah.
Because you have some different talents and background. And then you get to benefit from that too. Like it's a mutual exchange. And we're both going to resonate with different audiences. Yeah. So...
Yep. eXp is what I originally had my vision of.
It wasn't invented yet for you to join.
It had just started.
There you go.
I do think I did see some eXp stuff when I was at school, Googling, looking for stuff, but it was
like you're right.
Like in 2014, 15, it would just started though.
That's when 2 or 3 people that came from other companies came in and saw the vision and sold. I mean, one of them is very well known as far as selling like 7 franchise locations that were super profitable to join eXp because the opportunity was so big. And that's when it took a really big turn. So, awesome time together.
All right.
All right.